Pete Bevacqua, Notre Dame athletic director. A couple of months ago, I said, I look forward to talking to you again. I didn't know we would be talking about this. How did we get here, Pete?
Dan, first of all, yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to see you. Yeah, yesterday, that's the question. I don't know how we got here. That's kind of what we have a problem with. I don't have a good answer for you. You know, been a lot of conversations here on campus the last 24 hours, as you can imagine. And I want to make one thing clear, Dan. We have no problems with the teams that made it in. They're all great teams. Miami's a great team. Alabama's a great team. Texas, Vanderbilt, we're a great team. What we're so confused by and frustrated with is the process. Every step along the way since the first CFP rankings came out, we were led to believe we were in as long as we took care of business. And we certainly took care of business with this 10-game winning streak. Dan, you think about that first ranking, we in Miami were both 6-2. They had obviously already beat us the first game of the year. They were 18th. We were 10th. The only thing that we did since that point was win every game by over an average of over 30 points. And, all of a sudden we're 11th and on the outside looking in. And, when we sit and talk, when I talk to Marcus, when we talk to our team, we don't have any good answers for that. So we're just really frustrated that we had the rug pulled out from underneath us, Dan.
Were you able to lobby at all Sunday morning? Or had the decision been made that you were not going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when the decision was made. We made our case, we stated our point of view. But again, if you're us, we were told from day one of the rankings that, we were in and we were ninth. And then all of a sudden, we go play a game against Stanford. It felt like in the middle of the night, and we took care of business. And Alabama has a really tough game against an Auburn team that's having a tough year. And we wake up on Tuesday and we fall below Alabama for the first time. And it was all about the fierce conversation between Notre Dame and Alabama. And I heard something to the effect that Alabama went for it on fourth down. So that made an impression. And just our heads were spinning. Like, where's the logic? Where's the rationale? Why are we being kind of punished and the only ones that seem to be moving in the wrong direction and yet winning and having an unbelievably, dominant end to the season? We're confused, we're sad, and damn, we're frustrated.
And I was told there's nothing that's secret in those meetings. It eventually gets out. And I was told during last week that it felt like where Alabama was ranked, that Notre Dame, in the words of my source, you guys were being set up for disappointment. So that this is somebody involved in this. And then all of a sudden the Miami situation, which if they ranked Miami ahead of you, fine. I don't have any problem with that. I just didn't understand the rationale. And then I wondered, did the ACC lobby at all? What role did the ACC play in any of this, in your opinion?
Well, I would tell you, I mean, again, I have tremendous respect for Miami. Great team, great school. Their athletic director, Dan Radakovich, is a good friend, and all the teams in the ACC, great, wonderful universities. We have no gripes about any of the schools in the ACC, but we were mystified by the actions of the conference to attack, their biggest really business partner in football and a member of their conference in 24 of our other sports. And I would tell you, Dan, I wouldn't be honest with you if I didn't say that they have certainly done permanent damage to the relationship between the conference and Notre Dame.
What do you mean?
Just we didn't appreciate the fact that we were singled out repeatedly and compared to Miami. Not by Miami. Miami has every right to do that. But it raised a lot of eyebrows here that the conference was taking shots at us. And, that's just not something we chose to do. We wouldn't choose to do that in the future, and people might disagree with us, but that's just not something that we'd be comfortable with. And again, we have no problem with any of these teams. These are all great teams. You look at those teams, Miami, like I said, great season. They beat us. You think about Alabama, nobody's had more success in college football over the last decade than Alabama. But Dan, I mean, you follow this sport so closely. Everybody was saying that we were one of a handful of teams that could win this whole thing.
Yeah.
And now we have 0% chance. Even Nick Saban, nobody knows more about college football, maybe in the history of the world than Nick Saban, and he said it yesterday, like, how is Notre Dame not in this? I mean, everybody is just kind of confused and perplexed, and we don't have good answers for the kids on our team, for our student athletes.
Are you going to reevaluate your relationship with the ACC, the overall relationship?
I would just say it's been strained.
Irreparable?
Well, you never say irreparable, but it's opened our eyes, and it caught our attention. But we'll move past this like we are. As we're already focused on next season. We made the decision not to play in a bowl game, as I know you're well aware, and a lot of people have asked me about that. And when Marcus, we watched the presentation show, the selection show with the team, and then Marcus, like he always does, was wonderful, got up, and for somebody that always has great answers, he was brutally honest with the team and said he didn't have a lot of answers. Doesn't understand how this happened, why a team that thought it was doing what it needed to do all of a sudden kind of woke up on kind of the wrong side of this. And then just as you're kind of dealing with that, you start getting these calls from other bowls. And the role of a captain on the Notre Dame football team is a role that the program and Marcus takes very, very seriously. And he talked to all the captains, and said, "Hey, what are you guys thinking? What is the team thinking? Let's talk about this." And to a person, the captains and some of the other underclassmen on the team said, "Listen, we are such a close-knit team. We've done so much this season. We overcame those two opening losses. We rallied. We dominated in the last 10 games. We can't imagine taking the field not as that team." And it's reality, Dan. That certain players wouldn't participate in that game. You think about somebody with the future that he has, like a Jeremiah Love, a Jadarian Price, Eli Raridan, Emil Wagner, who's one of the most impressive people I've met in my life, who hopefully after he's done playing football, I hope he runs for president one day. It just wouldn't be the same. And, made the decision that it was time to start thinking about next season, give these student athletes a break. They have exams coming up, and then, really, hopefully they'll go home and spend Christmas and the holidays with their family and friends.
Feels like a message being sent as well, Pete.
Well, we're not happy, Dan. That's for sure.
Help me understand this, though. So are you guaranteed a playoff berth if you're 12 or higher next season?
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about the memorandum of understanding, but that's certainly been reported. That's out there. And what you said is accurate.
So
That's
next year, if you're ranked in the top 12, you're automatically in the playoffs.
Correct.
Okay. And everybody agreed that, like, this was drawn up by Notre Dame, and then the College Football Playoff Committee said, we'll sign off on that?
Well, it was part of the negotiations as we were contemplating the various changes that go into the committee and in preparation for the extension of the ESPN deal.
Are we looking at a 16-team field next season?
Dan, I go back to what I said when you were here on campus for the USC game. I firmly believe that the right answer is 16 teams with 5 automatic qualifiers and 11 at large. And maybe there's no perfect answers. Think about this year, Dan. If say we were 4 teams, there wouldn't be any arguments. I mean, those 4 teams, I think that's crystal clear. Those are the right 4 teams. I don't think anybody would argue. So 4, 12, 14, 16. I happen to think 16 is the answer. I think the overwhelming majority of the people in the College Football Management Committee room agree with me. I think anything beyond 16, in my opinion, is a mistake because it would interfere with the importance of the regular season. And oh, by the way, did we feel that this year, right? But that's important,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We knew. We had 2 tough games. Played well. We certainly got better over the course of the season, but we lost to 2 great teams by a total of 4 points. We felt we had 0 wiggle room. We felt we did what we needed to do. It turns out we didn't have a chance, right? And that's what's so disappointing. But I think 16 teams with the 5-11 format is the way to go, Dan.
Pete Bevacqua, Notre Dame athletic director, joining us. But when is this voted on? When is this decided? Or is it already decided?
No, it's been a series of conversations for the better part of a year or more. As you saw, it was reported that we have a bit of an extension from when we need to inform ESPN of what the format will be. We'll meet as a group over the national championship weekend. I'm not sure if anything's going to get resolved as it relates to format in that room at that time, but these conversations are ongoing. If I had to guess what happens next year, I think there's a good chance we stay at 12. I hope we can keep pushing for 16, but Dan, I just don't know how that's going to end.
College football is at a crossroads, it feels like. But it does take something to make change. So maybe what happened here with Notre Dame brings about change. So it could be a catalyst. Do you see it that way?
Well, again, we're frustrated with the process, not the teams. They're all great teams, and it's a bunch of teams. BYU has a great argument. Texas, Vanderbilt, Miami, Alabama, Notre Dame. We all have great arguments. It's the process that bothers us.
Well, those
And
ranking shows bother me, Pete, because
well, they bother me too, because if we said, well, if we had assembled as a team on Sunday and rankings hadn't told us for the previous weeks, we're in, take care of business, take care of business. And hey, you know what, Notre Dame, you're 11 and now you're going to get squeezed out because of the conference tie-ins and Miami beat you. And hey, I get it. But these ranking shows, as I said yesterday, like, what's the point? Why kind of send these signals and get the hopes up of these teams, these coaches, these kids on the team that believe they're doing everything necessary? And then, like I said, it just felt in that room a collective sense of the rug being taken out from under us without any explanation that I've heard, Dan, that has me feeling better about it.
casual fan hears this and says it's sour grapes, Notre Dame trying to be bigger than everybody, more important. You would say what?
Well, listen, everybody kind of wants to do right by their team. We felt like we did what we needed to do this season to earn a spot in the college football playoffs. We feel that we have one of the very best teams in the country. I think the majority of people who follow this sport so closely agree. Every indication we had from that first ranking suggested that that committee agreed with us. We were always being compared to Alabama. We couldn't possibly have ended the year any better than we did. I get why people think it's sour grapes, but it's disappointment, Dan. I mean, this is, we take this seriously, as do other universities. And the rankings can't just be musical chairs at some fifth grade birthday party. They have to mean something. And to me, what happened to us really kind of was alarming.
Just to get you on record, you're not anti Pop Tarts, right? Because you guys were reportedly going to the Pop Tart Bowl to play BYU.
Dan, the irony in that is I love Pop-Tarts, and I particularly love the brown sugar Pop-Tarts. I probably eat too many of them. No, I'm a huge fan of Pop-Tarts. That's nothing to do with Pop-Tarts.
Okay. Just want to make sure we got that on record. I would say great to talk to you again, but we appreciate you coming on and giving your side of the thing. If the people watching on TV behind you, what are all those numbers behind you?
So these behind me, these are actual bench seats from Notre Dame Stadium. So when we did the extension and the renovation and created Crossroads here, there were some of the original seats left over. So we created a wall here with some of the original bench seats in Notre Dame Stadium. So this is the back of my office that you're looking at.
How old are those seats?
Probably some of them different ages, but different panels, but some of them are over a century old.
Thanks again, Pete. We appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me on, Dan, and good to see you and hope to see you soon.
That's Pete Bevacqua. He's the Notre Dame athletic director.